Welcome back, Cook Boots.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yes,
Oh, that was such a lively welcome back. Oh,
absolutely. That's how I feel. It's about time. God, no.
yeah, it's been a little minute for the record.
Yeah, for the record, y'all wouldn't know about that, y'all, because y'all getting that consistent cook. Period.
Weekly.
Yeah. So today, very exciting. I'm going to interview Kaya with follow up questions about her story time. Yes, I'm here for it.
Listen.
Because, we need a backstory. The story was great, but we want some more. The
Yeah.
people want some more.
Yeah.
So, what I'll do a combination of things I'm interested in and that I think should be shared with the people. And also, we're going to take from your feedback some questions and some commentary that we'll have Kaya expound on. That sound good? Yes.
You're so vulnerable.
Oh Lord, here she go, y'all. Here she go.
No, I'll say it was hard enough to record. I didn't think it was gonna be hard, but it was hard to record the episode because it's like you go through stuff. First of all, you lived through this with me. We lived with each other through these situations, so we both know the story as it happened in real time.
This is true.
To say it out loud and say it as a story versus life event, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, we talk about what happened last week versus 2 years ago and I had to put all things together, and then it just puts you in a mind. Let me shut up. It puts you in a mind fuck because now I'm like, have I improved on my organization since then? Lesson, like, and then the feelings. So I'm gonna be quiet though because you in the interview. So let me hush and listen.
No, it's good. That's great. I mean, I'm getting a little, it's a little edgy because you're starting to get into what I'd like to know.
Yes, I know. So quiet.
Yeah, you're touching it already, and it's interesting. And no, we did not go over this for the people. It's not planned. We like to freestyle. Okay. But yes, that's what I was thinking because watching it as your co-host and I edit the clips each week, I was blown away by your storytelling. I was blown away by your oration skills and the attention to detail in the storytelling, remembering certain things that mattered for the unfolding of the overall story. And it's so interesting, I won't go into, your recipe, your secret sauce, how many times you record anything like that, but just, kudos, hats off. I feel like it was just magnificent. I know I've said that to you personally and online, and I really believe that. I feel like, wow, it just came off so seamless where you take us through these events and we can see them. We see oh boy walking off. We see the Clayton County paraphernalia. We see the beaten, battered lady. We see these things, and no, this is amazing.
It's trippy, but I'm here. Thank you, and I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll open it up. I know it's kind of broad in general, but if there's anything you felt like rewatching it yourself, if there was something you felt like, ooh, I should have kind of told them a little more about that, we can open up with that if you'd like. Otherwise, I've said my piece in terms of, me giving you your accolades. We can jump into the questions from the people.
Yeah, let's go jump into the questions.
Oh, okay. You don't have anything you wanted to expound on?
Nope. Not that I can think of. I would like to respond to a source of inspiration that is audience participation and see what goes there first.
I say. Okay. Well, the people first and foremost, they want to know, and I don't have, of course, the people's like in depth what they mean by it, but I can say what I think they mean by elaboration. How did that brother just walk off? How did the police just let him scroll away?
Right. That's such a good question. Well, he wasn't driving, for number one, so that's why legally allowed to walk away, because at that point he was not under suspicion of any wrongdoing. And then in hindsight, as I reflect, I really do think like, like traffic traps are set, like there are certain areas that are more heavily policed. So they had full intention of pulling as many people over as they could that night. And the focus was to get the person, to execute the mission, I believe. So, but I think what they're really asking is like, who is this person? Why did they just walk off and leave you while you're being, with the police? So this is, oh Lord. So, I think, I be in the streets a little bit sometimes, I be outside or,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a person that I was talking to. He was not a US citizen. So because he was not a US citizen, he was extremely paranoid about why are you making that face?
Because now his walking off is under even more microscopic suspicion because was he unable to?
When you're afraid,
No,
you
no,
know
no.
what I mean?
Not his choice to do so. Him being
Uh-uh.
allowed. Like, was he able to provide proper identity or identification?
No. And you know what? And that makes me feel like that makes me feel like something else was going on, even with the police, because it's like maybe y'all weren't really on the up and up with your behavior. You know what I mean? Because again, you have to have probable cause. Why are you pulling us over?
Yeah, I was thinking that anyway when you said the supervisor or whomever and the officer had a sidebar. I was like, they sound like they scandalous.
Little cooking up over there on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, what they got rolling?
Right, because why would you take me to your boss first before you take me to booking?
Sus.
The whole thing is sus. But yeah, so him not being an American citizen, yeah, it's like police officer, aha, you missed one. But not I'm sorry, that was inappropriate. I'm not saying you missed one, but I'm saying like he was doing something quote unquote illegal by the law here by being here undocumented.
Right.
And that was, I will say this. I'm glad that I was the person that got arrested, because it is a totally different situation if you are here illegally and you're trying to like start a new life and, do the American dream thing, and then you like do like, 3 days in booking versus being deported back to your country where you experience whatever you were trying to get away from or whatever. It's like two totally different impacts. You know what I mean? So although I do think it was not necessarily the most honorable behavior, and I felt a way when it happened, in hindsight, I do understand his fear and why he chose to walk away in that moment. Was it chivalrous? No. But, does that matter in life or death? No.
So in the moment, you felt like you maybe took it more personally, but
Oh, my God.
Right,
Because
right.
it was a cold, smooth turn. It was about face, like, oh, bye, like, hit feet. Like, he hit feet on the police. So, to me, it was just like, ugh. Like,
And they didn't have any concerns like, oh, he's out of here. We're getting the driver. Woo.
the police asked me, they were like, why is he walking away? I don't know. The fuck?
Right. Are you supposed to provide an explanation?
Supposed to tell you?
Yeah, what sounds interesting to me about it is because I think later in the story, I don't remember the word that you used, but you were saying they do this type of wrangling thing. Where they
Blitz.
want, what is it?
Blitz.
Ah, yes, yep. And where they want as many people as possible. That's why I was confused. Like, well, why didn't they want him?
They want traffic violations, because when I promise you, that's what people were in. They were in there for either traffic violations or some sort of domestic violence.
Mm. And as you just stated, this area, because I know in the episode you went into detail, especially about Riverdale, Clayton County, and you personally feel, of course, based on this situation, but just overall the feedback that you've gotten from other residents, that this area is more heavily policed than other parts of town.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Just because the police presence is noticeable. You know what I mean? It's noticeable. Now they'll probably argue that the data suggests, because police use data, they use testing to determine where to go, how to go. When there's data bias, or when there's data bias present, right, and there's an algorithm that gets created rooted in faulty thinking, then you're going to basically cause the data that you're collecting. Because you're there more, you see more.
Okay.
Therefore, the data is going to continue to regurgitate that you're doing a great job.
So a cycle.
Right. It doesn't mean that Buckhead ain't lit with crime. It doesn't
You
mean
just ain't catch them.
you're just not, because you're not here.
Because you're not looking for them. Like, you find what you're looking for. And because this area is heavily policed, that's why they believe it needs policing.
Like, they going through Clayco's phone. They're not going through Buckhead's phone. So you're going to find
Stop going through their phone.
they went through that phone.
Oh, no. Well, you definitely find things when you go through the phone.
I'm just at this point, because of the way that I've experienced, I've lived in Austell, right? I stay in Buckhead now. I lived in Riverdale, and I lived off Cleveland Avenue. Riverdale, Cleveland Avenue are where all my any traffic stop sign, seatbelt, whatever is off Pryor Road, or this foolishness in Clayco in Riverdale.
Wow.
Which took place literally 10 to 15 days after I even moved there. This happened.
Woo.
I just got there.
And like, what are the odds of that? That's wild. And you said the frequency with which it happened on Cleveland, like, it was often. It just kept.
God. I know them down there. I know that when I get a traffic ticket, I go to 150 Garnett Street. You know where that is?
Yeah, the little joint on the corner.
That's where I was living. I would go in there, go to the window. If it's not like a major, like if it's like stop, it's not a moving violation. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe your tags are not or correct you had, or you're not moving the car while the violation is happening. Then you just go pay. If it's a moving violation, then depending upon how many violations you have, and it's sad that I know this, depending on how many violations you have, you can go to like correct court or quick court and just go downstairs. You don't get any like plead nolo contendo, and then you don't get a swipe on a mark on your license or anything. You just go pay. Basically, it's like, oh, you're not
all leading up to payment.
Right, everything. So that's why I even think it's even more interesting that the people who, depending upon your data and your tax brackets, don't make as much as the Saints and Buckhead. Why you're not trying to get money there?
Ooh. That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. Well, also, okay, the next person wants to understand how your sticker was stolen, because that's what they said their probable cause was, or that's what they found out once they pulled you over.
That's what took place with the initial traffic violation that got my license suspended to begin with.
The one from before you lived in Clayton County.
Right, when I lived in.
You were seeking the court date, but then COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
You were checking for it, never seen anything for months. Finally, you get pulled over and you're all white.
In my all white threads. Yeah.
Just got done drumming.
Yeah.
So you feel like it was a neighbor? How long could it have been?
Yeah, I lived in like a little townhouse. It was, they say gated, but the gate's always broken. And it could have been a neighbor, or it really could have been anybody, because people would often like dump cars there. There was a human remains found there. There was a car on fire. It's all Cleveland Avenue, so it was lit. Gated or not, it was lit.
What?
Town.
That place you stayed?
Yes.
Human remains?
Yes. I swear to God, I feel like I sent you the video of me recording the people.
No, ma'am. You did not send me that. Whoa. That's intense.
Sure I did.
Human remains. I would have remembered that.
Ask my former roommate. It wasn't. I don't know. Hold on. Remain suggested they were like severed and like you just found a toe. There was a whole person.
I understand. That's my clarity.
Okay. A whole person found outside in a van.
Deceased.
Deceased. Yeah.
That's my clarity. That's what I understood.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any mind frame for dismembering.
Okay. Now, at the same time, while it was lit over there, I don't want to suggest that that means the police need to be more prevalent. That's not what I'm saying. Just to make that full circle.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the irony of it all because you're saying the area was heavily policed in terms of traffic violations and things that they wanted to profit from,
Mm-hmm.
but not necessarily preventative for danger for those citizens over there.
Well, looky there.
That's my understanding.
That's what I see too. Thank you. I also just feel like to answer that person's question, you can't. I don't know what happened to the sticker. Someone stole the sticker. Someone stole the sticker.
That's so interesting because how they even get it off?
You can't get
That's
it.
a
I've actually never tried, so I don't know.
that's a skill set. That thing, that's like you
Some
need like a
mover.
tool type
Yeah,
of tool to do that.
I don't know, child. My sticker was show gone now. But I had the paper. Why didn't I have the paper in the car? So there's still ways where my
Or a
poor,
photo of it. That's what I was thinking as I listened.
yeah, like a poor preparation is just not just ripping and running and not having my stuff together.
Okay, so the next person wants to know, maybe it's just a matter of fact, just something, casual speaking. How we speak, we may be asking a question that's ultimately rhetorical. But they want to know how they lose your stuff in Clayton County, your belongings, or your identity.
My identity.
Yes.
Um,
You. They lost you.
it lost me. I don't know. A systematic error somewhere. Maybe I don't see why being intentional. I do consider myself a freedom fighter, but do they know that? So I'm not going to go to the conspiracy portion, but I will say just clearly poor, like you blitz folk and you
Mm-hmm.
was outside collecting and wrangling as many Negroes as you could, and then you couldn't manage the paper. I've done that before. Had one too many jobs, couldn't handle it all at the same time.
That's so interesting you say that because I was going to say, with your last comment you made about, not having the registration and the ripping and running, as you experience your identity being lost and them not being able to keep up with that, did you make any correlation between like learning the lesson of that and look how I've been lost by this institution and look at the things that I don't keep up with?
Girl, as you were speaking, it was starting to come to me like, "Ooh, look at that!" As you said it, um, I don't think I thought about it in that way. I think what I was thinking about was the very first level of sight, which is this is why you have to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the
An
behavior?
accountability piece.
Yeah, like I was stuck on accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now seeing on a more detailed level the irony of I didn't have my proper identification with me. You know what I'm saying? For all this to spiral, even with this brother who is not a legal citizen and his identification situation and how that would render him, you know what I mean, like deported, and then I get lost again
Mm.
in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Mm. Which segues perfectly into our next question. The
Wait a
people,
minute. The same thing that's like in the process. That was just like a oh
mm.
damn. See, this is when I would write a poem.
Mm.
Jesus. Okay, I'm ready. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Process.
Hmm.
They also want to know, how did you stay calm? How did you remain calm throughout this?
Ooh. So I would say the core answer is community. like I knew, number one, I'm just way too popular and loved, and that's not to be like arrogant. I'm just way too loved to be lost somewhere for real.
Mm-hmm. Because somebody
So
go check for you.
yeah, somebody's gonna check for me. I'm not like, and if for some reason I do go missing and I'm permanently missing, right? Like I'm no longer living, it's gonna get talked about. It's gonna be discussed somewhere. Do you get what I'm saying? And that, clearly that's the calling that was on my life. So I really did at a moment I was like, dang, I wonder at what point Sandra Bland knew she was in danger. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
that's not to say that my situation was anywhere near that. But
Mm-hmm.
in that moment you do think like, at what point do you start to realize like you have an expectation of a system to function in a particular kind of way, and when it doesn't and you have no control over it, at what point do you be like, uh-oh, wait a minute, we're out of bounds now. I
Mm.
should have been out of here. When do I panic? And so
Mm-hmm.
panicking wasn't going to help. I knew that ultimately, no matter what, it was a spiritual lesson, and that just comes from the teachings of, Ndugu Nzinga, of any spiritual system. You know what I mean? Like, just I have a spiritual practice that undergirds my lens and the focus of everything that happens in my life. That's how I see the world. So if I'm in a situation that's bizarre and crazy, then clearly there's a lesson that I need to learn inside of it. So I'm not about to panic when I'm in the midst.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intentionally seeking to see what am I supposed to get so I don't get back here again. And that's just from practice of being in a whole lot of lessons. There's a
Mm.
pattern. There is an algorithm to the universe.
Well, that also answers the second question. So you can reiterate if you choose. You don't have to. I think you summarized it. What gave you your perseverance? And it sounds like you're saying community and your underlying spiritual practice gives you your lens to continue to look and keep going.
Hell yeah. Because I had full expectation I was leaving. I'm at no point that I'm like, I'm about to go. They keep trying to get the nigga to dress out. I'm not. I'm not.
Put that fit on.
I'm not putting. And I know you got the special outfit because I am plus size, so I know you would intentionally got me them clothes. I'm not wearing them clothes because then you really going like what number is this file attached to? Like what file is this number attached to? Because you don't have me in here to release me. So how you gonna have me in here to keep me? No,
Mm.
we're not doing that.
Mm.
But I'm not going to give them any excuse to, because I've already seen the ego tripping going on with people who actually needed support, medication, whatever, and they was being treated like dogs. I'm not going to give them any reason to continue to view me as anything less than human. So I'm
Ugh.
not about to act out. I'm not about to cuss. I'm actually going to do the opposite of the vibration that's happening around me. We talked about this the other when I was talking about my rental office and how I had to check the stains, but I did it in a way where I didn't go in there rah rah rah. I was very quiet and calm and direct in my communication because I find that has to be that's more impactful. People can hear you when they can hear you.
Mm. People
So,
can hear you when they can hear you.
yeah, so I'm gonna make it very clear. Hey, I don't belong here. I've already talked to the last supervisor. Maybe you want to get them. And maybe that's a privilege. Maybe that's God, because maybe they could have been like, "Bitch, what the fuck? Who cares?" Like,
No, not violent.
right? I could have just been clocked in the mouth like, "You highfalutin bitch. Who you think you talking to?
Not
Whatever,
polluting.
whatever." But
Ah.
that ain't how it went down.
Mm. Now the way. Okay, so the next question is set up in a way where I feel like you've answered it in your last answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I feel like it's a really good question. How did you know to advocate for yourself and to stand firm?
There was no other option. There was no other choice. What I was gonna do? Okay,
Get
fold.
dressed. You could have got dressed.
You can't fold. Hell no. I'm sorry. It's certain things, and I guess it depends upon the person. It's certain things that, like my mama always used to be like, my money is green. I watched a black woman advocate for shit my entire life. My mother, she doesn't, if it's not right, it's not right. And it's going to be addressed. So I have
Mm-hmm.
that expectation. I was raised that way. You know, like if we earn hard earned money, if I've already paid, if my bond's been paid, unhand me.
Mm.
Unhand me. You got your money.
See, and here's the thing, okay, because I know you, I know this story, I know how you are, I understand that, but I also can see through what the people are asking truly.
Okay.
Um, and that's why I said about your answering it already with not only knowing to advocate for yourself, that comes with the expectation and to stand firm in that because you were aware. You knew community had you, you knew it was taken care of. You didn't know what they had rolling. That's why you suggested they maybe speak to one another about it. Maybe y'all need to huddle up. Okay. But what I think when I read that question, what I'm thinking is that people are thinking about advocation in a way that you also mentioned, not being so aggressive or giving them an opportunity to uh exert any type of violence or punishment over you, but to advocate in a way that is actually heard, because a lot of people in this situation would have already felt defeated. It's an institution, it's a system, that's what we keep speaking of, and they would have felt like, it's just me. It's just me against them. It's just small little me. And even if they do have family and support system and community, they could have felt like, well, what they gonna do? They out there, I'm in here. So I'm stuck. I might as well do what they say and get dressed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I hear when I hear, how did you know to advocate and stand firm? It's almost like they want to know where that mentality would come from, that expectation that you are covered,
Mm-hmm.
um, and a strategy, how to exert that into your circumstance.
Well, when you ask it like that, you know, like that. No, seriously, that's good. Go ahead, interviewer. Dang, I have to call my A game on your interview. Uh,
This is what she does, people. She raises the standard, and when I
God.
and then when I show up, she gonna look at me like, "Well, look at you. Yeah, look at you."
All right. All right. Yeah, everything's going how it's supposed to go. So, so okay, let me say this. And I'm proud of myself for this shit. I have submerged myself in liberation.
Hmm.
I have submerged
Period.
myself in liberation and freedom from the
Mm-hmm.
people that I worship, the ancestors that I worship and revere, to the ancestors in my family that I honor and revere,
Mm-hmm.
to studying Black history and African history, to studying African liberation and principles, African practice of African spirituality, coming from Harriet Tubman land. Like I don't there, and then just being who I am as well. I'm not going to. There's a spirit in me that don't play that shit.
Mm.
But also being educated and informed, having done organizing work myself, having gone door to door, getting folks to register to vote, having to learn laws in response to that work, having to be up to date on local elections and local council members and all these like that's my lifestyle.
Mm.
So I've heard about countless police interactions before.
Mm.
Ones that went one particular way, ones that went others. I've learned about Black resistance in the South. I've learned about how the bus boycott. Like I've had elders that teach these things. So when now I'm in my kind of situation where I'm involved with the police, all that is ingrained into my makeup.
Mm.
So the person I show up in that moment is a culmination of all that knowledge and information.
There's a language.
And I speak that motherfucker. I live it. So I'm not going to be in a situation with the police and not use the tools that I have and not learn from the lessons of the people who come before me. That's
Mm.
that's the real answer to that question. How did I? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a balance in that avocation of firmness, intelligence, knowing what tone to answer with, all of these things.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, now, what I'll follow up with that being said, because I think that's wildly courageous. And you were pioneering on something in that you said yourself in the episode that you had never seen um this type of I want another word besides advocacy, but this type of fanfare for who they were, the Hilton, all of these types of things, the nature of their camaraderie, if you will.
Their pride.
Mm-hmm. So being this was never seen before, and you still came in with your firmness and advocating for yourself. Um, Again, can you go back over? Do you recall some of the types of slogans and things that you saw amongst the officers there?
Yeah, like this is Victor Hill's house. Welcome to the Hilton. Um, you know, something to the sentiments of like, it don't matter what the fuck you want. Like this is the Hilton. Like then jackets with Hilton on the back and the Bat Cave symbol, and that was another thing they had, like the Bat Cave
Mm-hmm.
symbol that they enjoy. So it yeah, just like signs on the wall, like as soon as you hit the door, it's like a paper mache sign on the wall that's like "Welcome to the Hilton." You know what I mean? So that was the kind of I was like, "Ooh, okay, Clayco."
See, and this is what I'm thinking about that level of, like you said, pride, again, fanfare over what they do. I don't know that that in itself is bad, but
No,
it's the right, but it's the energy. It's like, are they there for uh like to help people who may be in a criminal situation, breaking the law, disobedience? Are they there to reform people? Or is that what they're taking such pride in? Or is it just this jailing of people? Like what was that pride really all about?
well,
Like, I'm in charge? What?
if you're worshiping Victor Hill,
Okay, so you saw it as a form of worship of this man,
yeah, I mean,
not necessarily the law enforcement.
no, but what he's the system he created in
Mm,
and having, you know,
that blitzing and that wrangling.
right, and violated the law himself. You
Mm.
think you think the figurehead is going to get caught for misconduct, and the people who eat the fruit from the trees he cultivates don't spread those seeds? That's not how nature works. So for me, no. And then police, y'all should know if you don't know, but I'm sure you do. The lights you have is just intimidating enough. That puts the fear of God in a person. Of just you being behind us is enough. So then imagine a double down when just seeing the entity itself gives you fear. When the entity starts screaming and chanting its slogans as you're walking into detainment.
So it's like mental warfare
Yeah,
also.
it was aggressive. The energy was aggressive. The energy was you don't have any value. You don't own yourself. I mean, the things that that jail does already tell you. You are just a number. You've lost your rights. You don't own yourself anymore. I
I
own.
own you. Victor owns you.
Victor owns you. Welcome to the Hilton. And he wasn't. I don't even think he was in office at that time.
No way.
I don't think he. I think he was. He just got out. This was like 2 years ago. I really am pretty sure I already was aware of this murder charge,
Mm.
and I ain't saying nothing else about that.
But that's what I'm saying. Wait, what was that?
Nothing. So I ain't got nothing else to say about that.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought you said, because I was going to want to elaborate on that a little bit. But
No.
if not, fine. Okay. Okay, now, no one in the comment section touched on this, but I had some questions of my own about your leaving, um, and how that was um, another scary situation. You left the facility along with someone you befriended there,
Mm-hmm.
and a gentleman at the same time. You all were released at the same time.
That's a gentleman.
Several gentlemen, and one of the gentlemen started to make you uncomfortable, if I'm clear, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, okay, my first question, just on a personal, we talked about this, was what happened to your homegirl?
She had gotten picked up, so that was the thing. Like everyone got released at the same time, but certain people, depending upon their situations, like one dude ran down there, his folks was already there. He went and hopped in the car with 3 other people, and they were out. Like it's
Mm.
we were already waiting. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
she already was gone.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you said this guy got aggressive.
Right, about using my phone, because I'm using my phone to call an Uber. Mind you, I only got a few percent, whatever, but I'm calling an Uber so I can go to Chef's house.
To get that your dog.
My dog, my keys, everything,
Okay.
stuff like that. So, uh, yeah. So that was basically how I got in the situation where it was just him and I, because it was just like people just left and he was the only one there. Clearly, he didn't have no way to get nowhere because he was trying to get me to do that.
Mm. Now, when you notify, I'm sorry.
It's kind of like when them kids be like, you pull out a snack and then the kids start telling you how they love the snack that you're eating. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I sure wish I could get an Uber to Marietta. Can I see your phone? You're not gonna use your phone? Oh, so you're not gonna let me use your phone?
Bullying and intimidation.
Yeah. Like, okay, sir. Goodbye.
Mm. And when you notified the people still there, the people in the office space or whatever you were walking away from, did they have any response to that? Were they at all attempting to be
No, they just like away from my Uber.
inside, away from the gentleman?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody looked out to see who it was, correct him, anything. Mm. That goes back to that piece about not being preventative in your law enforcement, waiting till the crime happens to do something.
Well, that's how the law works. That's why the law versus restoration and rehabilitation are two totally different things. The concept of having laws in the first place is an indication of where you need to send the healing.
Mm. Wow.
You got to do that on the front end. Yeah. Like, don't steal. Okay, well, then why do people feel like they have to take?
Mm. And addressing that, the mentality of lack, or even if it's more than a notion, even if there is lack, addressing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, do that work. You'll save money that way, or you'll save lives that way. But it's not about the lives. It's about we earn money by people breaking the rules we set. I even started thinking about this. This is a little off tangent. Started thinking about this in when it came to dating, because I used to think like people were always like, okay, well, what are your boundaries? And then someone was like, nah, I don't think about what my boundaries are. I think about simply what my limitations are, which shifted the trajectory, right? Because it's not necessarily about, what a person can't get past. It's more about what I can't support or handle, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I think it's like an inverted way of saying, okay, preventative, or are you just trying to make a buck as a part of reactionary behavior?
Mm-hmm.
Response to things that you're creating anyway. That's the thing. You already know you're creating a system where people need to steal to survive, and then you punish them for doing that. You know that you give drugs to people and you want them to sell them, and then you create laws that make it illegal so that you can arrest the people that you gave the drugs to in the first place. It's been consistent behavior.
It's psychopathic.
Diabolical is the same.
Diabolical. Yes, it is. Well, on that note, we have 2 final questions.
Okay.
And I'm just going to kind of ask them in conjunction so you can let it rip and be as informative to the people as you'd like. or see fit. People wanted to know about um, your anxiety, your panic attack that followed this situation. Um, and firstly, how did you know you needed the help? And after you found out or realized, where did you go to get that help?
Okay. Okay. This is a very complex question just because of the layers. But um so number one, I didn't know that I was even having a I've never had a panic attack before, so I wouldn't have any way to define what
Mm,
it sensation feels like in my body. But after I had the experience I had an inkling because I was out of control of my breathing and I was out of control. I didn't have the ability to calm down uh, physically. Like I was panicked.
scared.
Yeah. When I got back to my apartment, because number one, it's a new apartment. It's the first time I've ever lived alone in my life. So, I was already had anxiety about that. But then 15 or 10, whatever days, I move into this apartment, I get arrested and then lost in the system. And I felt like, oh my God, I was in a situation where I almost could not get out of it. And then it's
What
right.
was it? If it all dawned on you at once?
Yeah, because it's like now I have to go back. Like I'm out, but now I'm going back home and I'm home alone.
In this new place.
This new place, they shooting like shit outside. I'm also feeling like how you like. I don't know if anybody's ever dated a scammer, boo, but like there's a moment when it hits you that you got played, and then it's like now you start putting everything together. Like, well, was this real? Was that real? Was this real? It was so part. It was. It had me so nervous. It was like it was simply because it was dark outside. It was like I clearly don't know where I really am.
Mm.
Like I'm shocked. I thought it was like Pleasantville in the daytime. I came here. It was nice. The sunset. What the fuck? What happened? And so now they shooting this shit outside. It's lit. It's crunk. I mean, that's where I was already living at. You know what I mean? And so
Mm.
it's also a part of like, damn, I made a poor decision. I don't think I researched enough moving here. Like it was just a whole bunch of. I have to stay here for it. I just signed this lease, and I got to stay
It
here by
was
my.
2 weeks later.
Yeah, like I was. Yeah, it
You were
was.
overwhelmed with the reality of what you had just realized.
Yeah, I just that feeling violated, feeling even with what happened with the man outside, after it was over and him, like that, I'm already a survivor of sexual assault. So that was just very triggering anyway. Um, because then it also felt like, damn, what if a motherfucker followed you home? Someone could just, like, I went and bought like door blocks, the ones that you put up underneath the
Like a little
stick.
kickstand, John.
I bought both of those. I was always thinking, but I had a full blown panic attack, like my first night after being released.
I had no idea it was that close to the time. It was that soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, and then of course you start crying, and it just gets worse. And so there really was nothing I could do about it until I I don't know, it just stopped. I physically calmed down, kept tried to control my breathing. I also knew that like pressure or being held or being tight. So I wrapped myself in a blanket and just cried, and just let it go. But I then realized also that next thing I know, I'm hungry, and I also am drinking. So I started binge eating, and I work from home. You know what I'm saying?
Seeking comfort.
So it's easy to do. So I started binge eating, and of course I brought out my Pinot Grigio, my white wine. That was my go-to. So I'm drinking that all day long. You know what I'm saying? 4 bottles a night. Just like full blown, and not go anywhere because mind you, I can't drive. I'm not allowed to drive. My license is
Because that
suspended.
situation is still active.
Right. And so I was just kind of stuck in Riverdale. And and then until it got to the point where I had to like ask for help. And so of course I called Baba Malefi first. He's an elder in our rites of passage community. I called him first and basically just told him like I'm tripping. I'm not myself. I know I'm not myself. Um, because I'm scared and I'm not a scary person. I'm not a person that walks around fearful and I'm like shook and I can't shake the feeling and something's not right. And it resulted in me, of course, eventually, and I'm not even gonna say right then and there, but eventually surrendering, you know, getting some help, going back to therapy, exercising, not and it just kind of progressed from there. And I was in isolation quite a bit throughout that process. But it got uglier before it got better.
Mm.
Was there another part to the question?
No, you answered them both.
Okay.
When did you know you needed help, and where did you go to seek it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you answered them both.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
Well,
and Chef helped me out a lot too because he hooked me up with Mike Jones. I started powerlifting.
mm,
The weight got so bad I got to the point where I could like not stand for more than a minute without having to bend over and stretch my back or something like that. The evidence just kept growing. You know what I'm saying? I had a few more drunk driving situations. I did not get arrested for them, but that's just to show you the spiral out. And most people, just because you present a particular way, they don't know what's going on, or they may not be aware of the severeness of your situation. Especially for a person like me, I'm like the strong friend. But in hindsight, I don't think I even knew that all this was connected until I kind of did this episode. It like it kind of made a complete story for me of what took place.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what I was going to ask you. Like the vulnerability and the sharing of the episode. Um, what did you feel like a rehashing?
Yeah, I felt like a rehashing, and I also felt like a cleansing. And it's almost kind of weird. It's like, I don't know. I'm not like the most emotionally like present person. I'm working on it. It's not my
Mm-hmm.
go-to to be. I've done a lot of work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, dang, I'm realizing I felt like X, Y, and Z. I'm realizing like I'm this is the first time I'm actually realizing like a look back and like, well, goddamn, how did I make it over? Like dang, I'm talking about this so casually, but this is real. Like this is some serious. So it just got more real, I think, and then also gave me a little more peace. Like, wow, I'm so glad that I'm out of that place right now.
So you do feel like you're out of that place. You feel in terms of not just the emotional repercussions of it, but things leading up to it. I know you touched on it briefly in the beginning that the episode caused you to review whether or not you had improved in those areas of maintaining, your information and being more orderly. You do feel like this situation has brought you full circle to improvement.
Yeah, at least that situation, I'll say this: for that situation, it forced me to get my car stuff together, just car
Okay.
stuff, uh, just the car stuff. I mean, like,
Everywhere.
I was saying, I hate when people
For
be
my
like,
registration in the glove compartment.
because that's the deception. It's like, oh, something gonna happen and you gonna get it, and now
Mm-hmm.
you're fixed. No, that is not the case.
Mm.
It just made me too scared to fuck around with the car. So I don't
Yeah.
want to talk about car stuff. But it's been many other situations that have still continued to guide me to a place of wholeness and wellness. And each
Mm-hmm.
one of those lessons has done its job. And if anything I need freshening up on, Spirit's gonna send it my way because I'm seeking it and I'm here for it. Like that's what I want. That's what I do in my life to master
Mm.
myself. So I don't so yeah, it did what it's supposed to do as far as my car and paying bills on time, stuff like that. Like I don't play about that stuff anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
other things have I've had to like grow and improve on, and I'm not gonna put all my business out there. But there's other stuff too,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been given opportunities to work on that as well. So I do
And
feel
you,
stronger, better. I do.
okay, Ashe, that's wonderful. All right. Well, if there were anything you'd like to add, anything in closing, if not, I just want to thank you. I think this has been a great episode. I loved your story time. I'm going to say that to the end of the earth. I thank you for sharing. I hope the people realize what you can get from that. Um, and yeah, any closing remarks? Anything to leave us with?
Um, I think the only thing I'll say is thank you, number one, for being so supportive through the process.
Absolutely,
I definitely appreciate your affirmation. It definitely helped me because, after you drop the episode, you be like, you know,
man.
don't
A
look at
wreck.
the, like,
A wreck.
what are the repercussions of this living online? Just and so, you just make you feel a little more solid and just like, girl, it's all right, relax. So I'll say thank you to that. And then I'll also say, um, I just think it's important for all of us to have our business together to the best of our ability, to master ourselves to the best of our ability so we can function within the society in a peaceful way. Um, and, everything that's happening to you is happening for you, or when you feel everything you feel like is not fair, it's actually an intentionality and purpose behind it. And find out what that is. Do the work. Don't be distracted by the matrix. Remember, your goal here is to accomplish something spiritually and do whatever you can to do that. And that's my spiel.
Ashe. Good stuff. Cook boots.
Boots. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. We'll be back.
Period.